to all. Taxila Business family welcomes the delegatories from S&P Global. S&P Global Market Intelligence is a provider of multi-asset class and real-time data research, news and analytics of institutional investors, investment and commercial bank investment advisors and wealth managers, corporations and universities. Standard & Poor's is a leading index provider of data source of independent credit ratings. It is the provider of popular S&P 500 index as well as several other global market indices. The MC Graw-Hill companies purchased S&P in 1966, and the Graw-Hill company has in 2016 financially rebranded itself as S&P Global. They provide intelligence that is embedded into the workflow decision-making of the customers around the globe. The Fortune 500 and S&P 500 are the measures of companies in the United States and are complied in different other countries. S&P has received many awards, amongst which they have achieved honor award by National Building Museums for Corporation of Contribution Building the Environment. We are honored to have such an association with the Taxila family, and we are proud to announce that previous batches of our organization have been joining this company and are flourishing in their areas. We are looking forward for many other opportunities, and we welcome you, sir. Now I would like to call Mr. Akhilesh sir for memento presentation, and Mr. Jigar Shah, Mr. Hitesh Tandon, Ms. Ishita, Mrs. Mish Trivedi, and Mr. Hiren Shah, Mr. Rahul Pradhan, Mr. Chintan Pathak, Mr. Hitesh Shah, and Mr. Kapil Patel.
Okay, great. Do we have the slides? No. To join S&P Global. I welcome you for the presentation, and I think after presentation we'll start with the personal interviews. We'll go through around 30 minutes or slides. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask here. If not, maybe in a personal interview, right? So I think the lady really mentioned good thing about S&P Global. So it's a 150-year-old company. I think most of you might be reading McGraw-Hill books in your finance subject somewhere, right? So it's pretty much the same company founded by McGraw-Hill, but later, the company sold its book publication business to some other company, and they spin off and become a S&P Global. So in between, obviously, they acquired so many companies, Capital IQ, SNL, Kensho, which is the biggest or largest intelligence companies in the history we acquired, so most of the things you'll able to find it on a Google, so I'll not spend too much time in going through the history, right? So S&P Global as a parent company owned many companies. These are the 4 companies which we owned. One is S&P Ratings. You all must be knowing, if you read any financial newspaper, you'll find this name on a first page, usually, right, every day. So that company basically gives the rating to the companies, bonds, equity share markets, even to the governments as well, right? The another one is Market Intelligence, so this is basically another company which is the wholesaler of a data, right? So you all must be knowing, data is a new oil, right? In fact, before 3 years, data value surpassed the value of oil, so it's the most valuable commodity right now in the market, and that's what we are into, right? And we have open positions right now for this division, Market Intelligence. The another one is Dow Jones, which is also pretty known company, more into the indices business, so like the Dow Jones Industrial 500 is the most renowned index for the US, to determine how the market is moving, so. And then we have a S&P Global Platts as well, which is a more niche market company, mainly dealing in the data business, but more for oil, petro, metals, likewise, the energy related markets. Apart from that, we also own the CRISIL. You might be knowing CRISIL as well, so that's also fully owned by S&P Global. We own the majority of the stock for that company as well. So I'll not go into too much detail for each of these companies, but we'll talk more about the market intelligence here. So if you go to any financial newspaper, I think on a daily basis you'll able to see the name of S&P Global. It's a Fortune 500 company and very respected company in the market. So this is more about market intelligence. As I said, it's a wholesaler of a data, right? So data, what do you mean by data, right? So have all of you seen annual reports, right? So what you see in annual reports? One by one, if you can raise your hand, and then turnover, okay. Profits, liquidity, cash flow, financial statements, okay. What else? Management discussion, auditor's report, right? What else? Corporate action, CSR activities. What else? Meeting minutes, board of directors, right? Their salaries, shareholders data, right? Estimates data, the financial statements, right? So we cover all these data points, right? For 60,000 companies, public companies, that means the companies which is traded in a market, we cover the data for all these companies, all annual reports, all quarterly reports, right? And around 9 lakh private companies. So as I said, that means almost billions of data, right? We cover every year. So all the data needs obviously some checks, right? So for example, total asset always equal to equity plus liability, right? All of you agree with me, right? So if this formula is not matching, you get the pop-up error. I think something is wrong in the data. Correct. So likewise, we have around 145,000 error checks in the system to give the quality data to our clients, right? So all of you using mobile, right? Data and everything. So if you call to the service provider, right? So let's say you call 5 times in a year. How many times you are very satisfied with the response? 5 out of 5, anyone? Who are like, amazing service, we are very happy with the service, sir. Anyone 5 out of 5? 5 out of 4? 1, okay. 5 out of 3? Majority, okay. 5 out of 2? Another half, I guess, so around 60% we can say. 60-70% people are happy with the services, right? So our ratio is 97%, so anytime, yep, thank you. So anytime client calls in, they get the survey, of 1 to 10 rating, and 9 and 10 are the favorable ratio, and below 8 is more of a neutral and non-favorable ratios, right? So out of 100 responses, 97% of a time, client says 9 and 10 for our response, right? That also means the quality of data, the timely or the speed of a data, and the response, or the professionalism, how we respond to the clients matters the most, right? And again, it's 24 by 365 days, right? So no compromise there. So we have around 9,000 employees, mostly located in India, around 2,000 in Ahmedabad, around 4,000-5,000 in Hyderabad, and around 1,500-2,000 employees in Gurgaon. And then we have our offices in Manila as well, Islamabad, Pakistan as well, and a few other offices in US as well, and London, right? We have around 255,000 active users, so the people who are daily using our data, to make their decisions in the financial market, So that means, so who are our clients basically, right? So as I said, we are the wholesaler of data, so our clients are the hedge funds, mutual funds, government agencies, big fours, all the big names you hear in the financial market are our clients. As I said, we cover 9 lakh companies, private companies. We cover 60,000 public companies. So almost 99.6% of the companies which is traded on the earth, we cover those companies. And around 51,000 data points, so as I said, in a financial report you see a lot of things, right? So let's say total asset is a one data point, total liability is another data point, the board of directors salary is another data point, so likewise we cover 51,000 data points, so almost each and everything which you see in annual reports, quarterly reports, or press releases, merger acquisition report, investor presentation, we have all those data available into the system, right? Any question till now, guys? Anyone would like to have any confusion or wanted to share? Okay, all good. So we have, as I said, 4,200 clients, mainly all the largest bank, largest mutual funds, largest hedge funds, most of the government agencies are our clients. These are the few names, which is like a pretty valuable customer, I can say. So how we sell the data, right? So as I said, 51,000 data points, 60,000 companies, the public companies, 9 lakh private companies, so it's like a very big data set, right? So if client wanted to find a small thing, for any particular company, it's going to be hard for him to find it, right? So we have to make our tools much more strong, scalable, so that with a maybe a few seconds, client find what they want to find, right? So these are the tools how we use our data. So it's like the desktop solution, more like a website, you can say, where you just log in, you search any companies and you get all the data, the company's history, board of directors, their salaries, financial information, estimates, people's data, each and everything what you find usually in annual report, you find it here, right? And obviously it's not just data, right? There are different tools available, within this software, So for example, if I give you a two annual reports, Infosys and TCS, and I ask you to compare, how much time it will take for you, which is the better company, for example. Maybe a day, maybe 2 days, right? If I ask you to do it for 100 companies, 3 months maybe. Anyone can do in 1 day? 100 companies? No? Okay. If I ask you to do it for 1,000 companies? Can't do, right? One person cannot do. And even though if he is able to do it, the data or the market is already moved on. After a year, if you come with your reports, the market is done with that step, right? So these are the tools what we have it. So for example, if client wanted to find or the compare, so let's say you have a $1 million, right? And you wanted to buy a bank, but you don't know if it's Indian bank or Australian bank. You don't know which bank you wanted to buy. So you just to put a query that, the valuation of the bank, I want a bank, the valuation needs to be below 1 million, anywhere in the world, and you just put a query, you get the list of the companies, right? And within that, you can also compare, right? So you can compare HDFC Bank versus New Zealand Bank, right? Because most of our clients are seeing the world, seeing the data as a world, not as a region, right? Or it's an Indian market or a Malaysian market, they see as the whole world. So they compare the data, for the different region as well. So that's what we do, and that's what this tool can do for the clients, to save their time, right? And then we have a Excel plugin as well, so as a client, you wanted to make your own query, very deep down into the data, you wanted to see the total debt of companies which is located in Rajasthan, for example. You put a query, you get the list, If you want a company in, let's say, Fiji, a very small country, near Australia, you get that list, So we have a Excel plugin as well, where you can able to find those details as well. And again, it's not just data, as I said. On top of it, data, we have different tools of comparison, which I'll a bit talk about in the next slide as well. So this is how the financial information value chain is, So as I said, the most of the data which we collect is publicly available, right? It's available on a SEBI's website or a SEC's website, or it's available in the company's own website. All the reports are available there. But this is how we collect the data, right? So we get the raw data from different agencies. It could be SEBI, it could be SEC, it would be company's own website as well. So we get all the data or all the reports from different agencies and put it into our software or the system, I can say. And this is where the job is, for most of the roles which we are offering today, the data researcher one. We have a different roles as well, but right now let's just talk about data researcher one. So how we create the value on that raw data, that's the job, right? So so if you wanted to compare TCS versus Infosys, you need to standardize the data, right? You cannot just compare just like that. You need to make sure that both the data comes into the similar format, and then you'll able to compare, right? So the standardization is a big part of a data researcher's job. And then finding the meaningful values, right? All the financial information or whatever information which creates the value for our clients, we need to find those values from the annual reports, quarterly reports, or any other financial reports, or non-financial reports, and put it into our software, right? On top of it, these are the tools. So once you put the right input into the software, the software will create a lot of ratios, peer comparison, all those detailing, would be done by the machines mostly, right? The financial modelings and all those things would be done by machines, and then it directly goes to the clients, which ultimately use the data, according to their use, right? So if it's a merger acquisition analyst, he'll use the same data in a different way. If it's a buy and sell analyst, he'll use the same data in a different way. If it's a government agency, he'll use the same data in a different way, right? So the end users are multiple different segments, but the data is pretty much same to them, and then they make their judgment, their decision making based on that kind of a data set, right? Now we have another role as well here, of product ops analyst as well, which is basically a link between the end user and the third step, information enhancement. So as I said, we give million and billions of data points to the clients, and they have a lot of questions, right? How you derive this ratio, how you derive this calculation, lot of other things, they have questions. So the product op analyst, is basically a link between the end user and the information enhancement. So they get all the queries from the clients they talk to, they explain the reasoning. If they are unable to explain, they'll talk back to the third group, the data researcher group, I would say, and then they find out the right reasoning for collecting that data point in a certain way, and then they send it back to the clients. So we have a majorly two types of a role right now. One is product ops, and another one is a data researcher. So as I said, data is everything here, right? Whatever we collect from the annual reports, we have a different teams within market intelligence. So there are teams of let's say people's data, who are more considered to deal with the board of directors, their biography, their salaries. We have a team of fundamentals, who deals with the financial information, related to income statement, balance sheet, cash flow. We have a team of estimate as well, who deals with the company's future estimations, and put it into our software. So different teams we have, but the requirement is pretty same. What we need. One is obviously decision making. How to find the right value, is pretty important in this business. From those maybe 200 or 300 pages of annual report, right? And again, this is world-class data center, because our data would be used by majority of the financial institute around the world. So the quality matters the most. Just assume that you put a wrong value into the tool, and client made maybe $1 million decision based on that, right? And if value is wrong, this decision would be wrong, right? So the quality is upmost thing in market intelligence, and in fact, we give a guarantee to the clients. Even though we publish billions of data points every year, if client find a single mistake into the database, not about total assets, even maybe a comma in a company's description, we are liable to pay $50 to clients, right? So that's the data guarantee we have for S&P Global. So this is what we need, as a job, roles and responsibility. Pretty simple, I would say. No big things here. So we need people who can be flexible, who has logical thinking, who has a good communication skill and learning abilities, right? So that's what we usually need from any individuals which we are hiring, right? There are different kind of a training on the job. So once you join S&P Global, there are trainings which will make you better for that particular job. So you don't have to be best on the first day, but on the job training would be provided, right? Different shifts are there, like day shift, night shift, which is pretty much mandatory, I would say, because our clients are across the world. They need data every minute. So we have to work in a different shift to accommodate different time zone of different countries. So this is usual hierarchy. Again, not the full hierarchy of the company because it cannot fit into one slide. But this is the basic hierarchy of a basic role, what we are offering right now, of the data researcher 1. So once you grew into data researcher 1, especially on your productivity, how fast you can do that job and how quality you can do your job. So based on that, you can move forward into the careers. There are different types of a role across your careers. You'll able to find it. It could be related to team management, or it could be related to process associate, industry associate, different roles. But right now, data researcher 1, which we are mainly looking for, and then we have a product ops role as well. As I said, this is what we need. Time management is one thing. The focus for the job is another one, and learning ability. How fast you can learn. If you are not able to be better than yesterday, it's going to be tough, right? But if you are better than yesterday every day, it's going to be very easy journey. Even though on a first day you make 1,000 mistakes, that's fine. But if you on a next day, if you are able to improve from that 1,000 mistakes to, let's say, 700 mistakes, that's what we are looking for, right? Different department needs a different understanding. So if you are taking interviews for product ops, we need a really high quality of communication, because you need to directly deal with the clients, right? If you are on a data researcher 1 for fundamentals, we really need the financial understanding and accounting understanding. So different teams are having a different expectation. So based on the interview what you give, you'll be placed into different departments, right? So it's a choice of the interviewer, where you would be right fit, for different departments and different roles. So you might not have that opportunity, because everything depends upon how your personal interview goes, right? So this is what we are offering, starting from 2,92,000, to 4,15,000. Again, depending upon role and your interview, the base salary would be decided, right? It includes the variable pay of 10%, which is on an average we give it to our employees, and exclude gratuity. But then there are a lot of other benefits like the life insurance, personal accident insurance, medical insurance. If you are working in night shift would be added advantage, and right now we are hiring for Ahmedabad location only, right? Any question here, team? Yes, please.
Sir, good morning, sir. Sir, as you mentioned that you have data of different companies and you deal with clients and give them information about the financial aspect they look into. So how do you maintain the integrity of the data? Like, why would any company would not just deal directly with the client rather than dealing from the third party, that is your company? So how do you like maintain the integrity? Like, from the website you collect the information, from SEBI website you told, and the other websites and agencies you collect the informations. So if there is any small mistake you told, the client would suffer for a big loss. So how do you like maintain the integrity? That's what my question is.
So there are two questions. One is, why clients are paying $1 million for our data, which is available easily on a website, right?
Yes.
And second is, once we give the data to the clients, how we maintain the accuracy of the data, So first question first, so let's say, if you are a Citibank, and you want a data for, let's say 5,000 companies, you don't want to hire 300 people for that, right? So we have a team of 4,000 people in a content, right? So they day in, day out do the same job, for our clients. So it's pretty much scalable model for our clients to buy the data from us, because they'll not able to manufacture so many data by hiring 4,000 people, right? They don't have a capacity of doing that. So that's the job we are doing for our clients, and then they pay it for the data, right? The second question, accuracy. Obviously, accuracy, as I said, is pretty important for S&P Global. So we have a concept of maker and checker. So once you hire as a data researcher one, you make the data, right? But then someone would check the data. So basically, the senior analyst, or maybe your senior from the same institute, who becomes the expert in a data, would check your data and give you the input, that you make a mistake on this parameters, maybe you can be better next time, so there is a consistent flow of the communication between the maker and checker to make the maker better, and once he becomes the better, he or she can become a checker as well, so that's one thing. Second, we have our own audit team, who does the audit of the data. Okay. Right? So once we have this maker checker things complete, the auditor comes into the picture and he checks the data. So if you make any mistake, not just that mistake, but very similar mistake in the data set, you correct. Right? So that's the third thing. And the fourth thing, our clients, right? So if client says, I think you are dealing with this, let's say bad debt, or the definition of a bad debt is wrong, for your company, you just don't fix that data point. You fix the bad debt data for all the companies, right? So client is also helping us to make our data more accurate, and we obviously appreciate client by giving them $50, So that's 3 layers of I would say accuracy, which we maintain. Does this answer your question?
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for answering my question.
Yep, thank you. Any other question, team? Okay, I can move forward. Okay, nothing much, but then obviously apart from work, there are, every day is a new day in S&P Global. There are a lot of celebrations are happening across the year. Different festivals are being enjoyed as a team, as a family, within the company. We have Csr Activities even currently, it's going on at S&P Global Ahmedabad. You may wanted to follow the page on a LinkedIn and a Facebook. You'll start getting the regular update on that. And then all the different kind of festivities we enjoy as a team, as a family, So it's not just work. There are a lot of other things we are doing at S&P Global. So we have a small video here, but again, if you wanted to find more about S&P Global, you can connect to Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn, Twitter. You'll find more information about S&P Global. Right. Any question in between? I think till the time, technical team is ready with video. Are you all excited, guys? Yes? Okay. All right. Yes, please.
Good morning, sir. My name is Nandan. A small question, like, sir, what was the company's relative advantages when compared to competitors? Like, we have in India only, we have a small competitors like SHS Advisory or so many companies. What is your, when compared to the competitors, what is your relative advantage?
Right. So the only and a very big advantage what we have is our accuracy of a data, right? And the second one is, as I said, the coverage. So if client want maybe a very small company in a Fiji, with having just one branch as a bank, we cover those companies. So for the clients, if they take our subscription, they don't need to go anywhere. So that's our aim. That's our motto, and that's pretty much a competitive advantage over the other competitors like FactSet and Bloomberg as well.
Thanks.
Yep, thank you. Yep, any other question, team? I think there was a... No? Yes. It would be the same, because we know what we need as a product ops analyst, and we know what we need for a data researcher. So if you find, the interviewer find that you might be a good fit for data researcher, he'll judge you accordingly. And if I find, you are good for product ops, I'll judge you differently. So the interview panel would remains the same. But for few individuals, there might be a second round, but very few. Otherwise, we'll make the call in a first round of interview only. Any other question, team? Anything you would like to know about S&P Global, or job profile or compensation, anything? If not now, you can obviously ask in a interview. All good? Okay, perfect. Yep. Thank you again, everyone, for showing your interest in S&P Global. I think we'll start with the PI after a few minutes, I guess. Once you fill the data sheet, I think is being handed over to you, right? If not, just ask your placement coordinator to give it to you. Once you feel that, we'll start the personal round of interviews as well. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Sir. And we students are elated to know how a financial giant like S&P Global works. So with this opportunity, I would like to thank all the delegatories of S&P Global and looking forward for further more opportunities like this. Thank you so much, sir.
So once again, good morning to all of you. See, we are going to distribute a form to you. You have to fill up that form. We'll be directly having PIs. What I'll request all the students from every place, they have to sit here, because all announcement will be from this place only. Our volunteers are on the back side. Students coming from other places can have their help. First, we'll be having interviews of people coming from Sangam University. Only one. Okay, anybody else from distant place? So first for interviews, the Sangam and Kota students will be going.